Welcome everybody to Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It is Business Monday here in downtown Providence. We are excited to be hosting Blake Venke. He's over at Newport Biodiesel, cool startup, about 10 years old, almost 10 years
Correct.
old, right? And we're kind of reinventing the waste food chain of the restaurant industry, from grease needing to be dumped and buried away in landfills, or I don't even know where it went in the olden days.
That's correct, yes.
Into an energy source fueling the Rhode Island economy and
You've
beyond.
done your homework. Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah, well,
Well done.
a little bit. Talk about, where did the idea come from? Not the most usual. I don't walk into a restaurant and go, God, you know, those dirty napkins, those could be a wonderful fuel source.
No, it's a good way to start off. You know, I'm by the standards of my partners at Newport Biodiesel, I'm the new guy on the block.
Rookie.
So I often, you know, in the early days, I would ask, you know, how did this all get going? Because it was new to me. And the initial founder was looking for a way to heat his home more efficiently, more cheaply, in an environmentally friendly way.
Right.
So he was not a chemist by trade. He looked up in the literature this thing called biodiesel, tried to comprehend exactly how you make it. He made it in his basement, started heating his home, and then before you know it, he had more feedstock or inputs than he needed to heat his home, so he could then think about actually doing something else with the output, and he started to make a business of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how did it start? Like, what was the, I'm going to walk into a restaurant and ask them for their grease?
That's right.
Literally, just walks in and say, can I take that away from you? And they used to have to pay to get rid of it, correct?
Right.
So it was flipping the business model for them.
That's right. So Newport is a restaurant town, so there's no shortage of waste vegetable oil.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of waste vegetable oil, so it's quite easy for this initial gent to walk in there and say, that thing you're paying to get rid of, I will take it away for free. And as long as he showed up and did what he promised, then they were happy to do it. And you know, the restaurant community is a tightly knit community. Through word of mouth, one restaurant, two restaurants, and today we're collecting from over 4,000 kitchens throughout New England.
4,000 kitchens. Mm-hmm. Is there a bucket of grease up on the wall at Newport Biodiesel of the first one, you know, when people put their first $1 up for $5? Who was the first restaurant? Do you know by lore?
You know, I don't know that offhand. I apologize for that. But we do have some old pics of the early days, and it's funny to see, you know, us, or in particular them, 10 years ago, more hair, a little less.
Was it by wagon and horse or anything?
Yeah,
like
almost.
Now, was it like the Burger King, or was it Clark Cookhouse?
No, it was the local one-off
yeah.
restaurants that initially bought in and got us going.
And how do you scale this? Is it scaled by sort of force of will, like any type of growth strategy, or was it kind of the word of mouth in the hospitality industry that helped fuel it, that just sort of word got out? And was there ever a point in which the phone started ringing for you guys rather than you guys having to ring the phone with outbound?
So the short answer is word of mouth.
Yeah.
We have a team of salesmen that move around New England and sign up restaurants, for the most part, one-on-one. So they're knocking on doors, they have their pipeline and the like any sales effort. But it's a lot of one-on-one transactions, and that is the bread and butter of how we grow on the collection side. So we really have two parts to our business, right? We're a rendering company that collects waste vegetable oil and turns that into used cooking oil.
Yep.
And then we're also taking that output, becomes the input for making biodiesel. And as far as growing the biodiesel production side, that's a little bit different in that you need to scale your facility,
right.
Which is, there's certain resources that need to be garnered to do that. You have to have the expertise and the people and the capital to do that. To kind of paint the full picture, so we are collecting from over 4,000 restaurants, but that speaks to less than half of what we need to make the 7 million gallons a year of biodiesel that we're making today.
Wow.
So we step into the commodities market and we buy 50 to 60 tractor trailer loads a month of additional processed oil, bring it to our little mini refinery on the corner of Newport, and we turn that into clean burning fuel.
And where does that supply come in from?
All around the region. A good part of it, though, is from the tri-state area. So we have good suppliers, direct relationships, as well as brokered relationships down in New York and New Jersey.
And is it the same? Is it coming out of restaurants?
It's coming out of restaurants or industrial kitchens, and it's processed to come up with the same specification of input we need to make biodiesel from as that of our own collections.
You guys have raised some money over the years. You've grown.
So we are a bootstrap company.
Yep.
It started with an idea and no money. So as far as the classic entrepreneurial story, we have that in our history. And for the first number of years, it was hand to mouth. And staring at the checkbook, make sure you have enough to do what you want to do the next day.
Right.
And then over the last few years, we turned the corner whereby we were raising a little bit of money, not a lot, from friends and family, no professional private equity of any sort,
Yeah.
not even really angel investors. And then through retained earnings, we were able to now invest in our facility to the point where our CapEx every year is a 7 figures type number.
That's great.
And that brought us to our relationship with the state. Commerce RI, who you know, the folks there, they've been involved in some of our funding, and
They gave you a small business loan.
That's correct.
Help fuel some growth.
Mm-hmm.
How was that process? Tell us the good, the bad, the ugly. Brian's not here today. We can lay it out. Clean.
I did a little venture capital in my earlier days, my earlier career, and I know how painful that process can be. And so when I first heard about this, I kind of squinted. But the experience, and I say this truthfully, the experience could be nothing of the sort. It was quite easy in that we filled out the necessary documentation. You put your data on the paper. Then we met the people. It's actually we got to know the people better. We've already had known them, and then it was just a matter of them, processing what they've learned about us by their personal interactions with the data on the paper, combining that with the due diligence of the private sector, because we have some private funding now, and knowing that we're going to put our own dollars up alongside of it. That gives one peace of mind. If you put your own skin in the game, you're not gonna lose that money, or at least you're going to try hard not to.
Talk a little bit about growth strategy. How do you get to that 7 million? How do you grow it? What's the limitations? Is there geography limitations? Do you have to build another facility somewhere else in the country? And let's start there.
Well, so growth is a tricky topic, and I don't know if we have all the answers.
Yep.
It's something that our board of directors looks at deeply. We have to understand what we're capable of, so know ourselves and what our limitations might be and what our potential might be. But we have to evaluate that in the context of what others are doing. So, I came in 2011 when I showed up. The industry was much smaller, much more fragmented. Nowadays,
a lot of roll-ups, a lot of consolidation.
it was more a collection of 300 points that were much like ours for the most part. A few really big ones, but for the most part, they were operations very, very similar to us. But over the last 10 years, yes, roll-ups and consolidation and weeding out the weak and all that. And so now we have to understand, well, what are others doing? And the industry is now dominated by large players in the Midwest. So we're a 7 million gallon a year plant. They might be a 50 or even 100 million gallon a year plant. So now you have to figure out where you are given that level of competition, because they do move product into our region. So all that has to be taken into account.
Are they banging on the door looking to acquire you from a strategic standpoint because they want to get into the restaurant-rich New England area?
So we do have inquiries, more than one or two in a year, especially over the last 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Given our fiduciary responsibility to our shareholders, we do explore that, because we have to try to monetize this investment either through operations or through a sale. So we do take those inquiries. We have yet to enter into a sale or merger of any significance.
You guys have been at it a while. You've sort of broken through the danger zones of early company growth. What was the biggest mistake you guys made, and how did you overcome it? Because this is an entrepreneurial company. I think people who watch this segment are looking for answers, how to avoid it, how to pick up on somebody else's error and try and fight through it.
Yeah, it's never fun to talk about your mistakes. But
if we have another hour after this, I can go through all of ours.
Begrudgingly, I will offer up. We did have a compliance issue back in 2013 where we were dealing with federal regulatory agencies, and at that time we were very much hand to mouth.
Yeah.
do what you need to do to open the door the next day. And it's not that we neglected, compliance and regulation, but they weren't at the top of the priority list of the day. And so we had to then scramble to catch up. And the catching up part took, the better part of 2 or 3 years and, a significant CapEx.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we did the right thing. If you're not where you need to be, then you stop the music, figure out what you need to do, and go do it. And that's what we did.
Good for you. What's the lesson to that? Is it, listen, as these companies grow, especially as you get some momentum, there's so many opportunities. You're hitting so many new things that you've never done before. Is there any checklist that you guys now have in how you develop your growth strategy to try and avoid pitfalls that other folks could learn about?
I think the way we try to set things up is we try to tap into the entire collection of people we have in our organization. So instead of saying, okay, us here at the top, us 1, 2, or 3, are going to identify the opportunities and the pitfalls, as you say, we really push the decision-making down, and we let everyone ask themselves that for the piece of the business that they're working on or anything else in their view. And that, I think, is what has enabled us to survive and to prosper.
That's great. Growth strategy going forward, give me a couple ideas of what you see in the future over the next 12, 24 months, and how optimistic are you about the future of the company?
I think we continually evaluate that. So my answer to the question today might not be the same a year from now, but I think we have to, again, know who we are, and I think, in a word, we're a niche player in that we have a market here locally. We can collect our feedstock locally, we can process it locally, we can sell our fuel locally. And we'll be 1/5 or 1/10 the size of the big players, but we're here.
Yeah.
We're here in New England, and opening up a refinery that's like the size of Gulf or Exxon or Shell is not something easily done here in New England. So know that niche and operate in that niche. That's our play right now.
Can you guys be a wildly successful mid-size in the industry company that's wildly profitable in your existing structure out of Newport?
Yes, the short answer is yes. Wildly might be not the adjective I would use, but
significantly.
I think
above marginally.
The way we often characterize it, and when we have our discussions, is that what's the risk reward?
Yeah.
And at different times in the dialogue, we look at the numerator. Other times it's the denominator. But I think we can be successful as we step forward and execute on that plan.
You've got a senior team looking at your management structure. That's a hard thing to do in Rhode Island. What's been the success of that, especially in Newport? A little bit of a summer playland, hard to get senior execs, and you've got some people with some, muscles and some stripes on their resumes.
Yeah, in my former career, I was in finance in the New York area, and it's a different profile completely. And one of the things that really felt great when I first met Newport Biodiesel were the people that were making the bulk of the decisions. And they are talented. They are smarter than me for sure. And I think we're lucky in that we're in a place where the smart people do reside, and they have a holistic view of life.
Right.
And so they're not necessarily looking to maximize their check at the end of the week. They're doing that in the context of other aspects of life. And we opened up a good business in Rhode Island. We were able to attract these people.
That's great. Last thing, lessons to be learned for those watching. Is there any sort of mantra that you perform off of that you use as a daily guide and how you drive the business and what you think about Newport Biodiesel?
I guess like with any entrepreneur, I don't want to give all the cliches, Give
110%.
Yeah, have your passion and all this kind of thing. But no, I think you have to have a certain toughness.
Yeah.
The aversion you're going to face day in and day out is going to be significant. The early days we're standing on the edge of the cliff, swinging our arms, making sure we could open the door the next day. And now it's the complexity of all the issues we face and how to set a you know, more of a long-term view and garner all the resources and mitigate all the risks. You know, these are the things that you need to do if you're going to be successful at taking a hobby business or an idea to a small business to a mid-sized company and beyond.
How many employees?
So we're 42 as of today.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Yeah. You're in all the good zones of size.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Blake, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you,
really
Josh. It was a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And congratulations on the success. And as we all know, I'll do it for the viewer, you know, success is kind of up and to the right, but with lots of spikes.
There's some
and,
wiggles.
Down. Really congratulate you,
Thank you.
on, you know, taking something that was functionally a pollutant and a problem.
That's right.
And turning it into great reuse. And it's like greening of Rhode Island. We like to see it across with Deepwater Wind and you know, green development, all these companies that are emerging in Rhode Island that are kind of transforming the economy, also making us much more self-sufficient as a region. So congratulations. Exactly. We're going to be right back in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Josh Fenton. Hold on about 30 seconds and we'll have the next small business feature. Thanks so much. Welcome back, everybody, to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It is Business Monday. The weather outside here on Wade Boston. Everyone is too exhausted from staying up late from the Red Sox World Series run this weekend, so does it really matter, right? With me is Amanda Costa. She's with one of these cool Rhode Island technology businesses that works in aquatic issues, Navitec, and you're really trying to help build better boats. Is that really the business model?
Yeah, more even. So we're a R&D company, defense work, do a lot of defense work, and naval engineering. So we're looking at the next best hull design, but on top of it, any of those complex problems that the defense hits, we want the hard ones. We really want to hit the next cutting edge problems going on.
And how much of your business is with the Department of Defense, Navy, etc., and is it all domestic, U.S. based defense work?
Yeah, so a lot of it is with the Navy. I would say a good portion. We do work with the Marines, the Army, so it does expand out. We originated from just consulting ship design, small craft design work, and then realized how we had to embrace the software and the early stage development and how important that was in the process. You don't want to be piling all your money into building and then rebuilding. So.
And located here in Hawaii?
Yes.
And is there a lot of staff requests to work in Rhode Island in the summer, Hawaii in the winter?
Yeah, everyone wants
project work out there. Is that the kind of the key to the whole
It is.
model?
Everyone wants to bounce around. We're locally in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. We have about 20 engineers here. Corporate office is in Honolulu, but we also have a shipyard there. So it allows us to take our work from early design stage, brainstorming and drawing out our ideas, all the way through to prototyping and testing and building. So it's cool. And then we also have 2 offices, new ones, one in Portland, Maine, and the other in Arlington, Virginia.
And is it functionally tied to where kind of centers for excellence are for the Navy? Is it NUSC driven? Is that really here? Is that the partner that you're trying to service is NUSC? And trying to be reactive, responsive in geography located to be able to service key naval installations?
Yeah, I would say we're area based. We actually do a lot of work with the Naval Surface Warfare Center,
yeah.
Which is why our Arlington office really kind of picked up. We needed that presence there, but luckily in technology and a lot of science and technology research, you can talk remotely. You don't have to be in the same room all the time, which is great. We have definitely gotten into CNEDIA, the defense organization, so that's given us a lot of our networking here.
It's kind of like the defense industry mafia of
It's great.
Island, right? Yeah. And they've always got something going on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there's always an event.
There's always a big push. We've had a lot of folks on, and a lot of key speakers have come up here in conjunction with events down there, and a big push towards women in engineering, women in the sciences. That's been a we've seen that over the past few months. Is that an impetus that you guys are pursuing as a company, of really trying to attract more women engineers and sort of balance the company from a standpoint of perspective and gender, et cetera?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we have a lot of naval architects that work for us, and we've really tried to branch out and reach out to the women in engineering a lot through our STEM outreach programs.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the high schools, the middle schools, and even the colleges, just to share the work that we're doing and get them excited about it. Actually, two of your Wavemaker Fellow program that RI Commerce has, our two women engineers are fellows, and they get the excitement and initiative to stay here in the state and bring their skill sets to our company rather than another. So that's great, and then they benefit from all the events that happen, the outreach that Wavemaker program does. So.
And are
great.
You guys recruiting now? Are you looking for more engineers? Is URI and Brown, are those sort of hot spots of where you guys are trying to recruit from?
Yes. So we're always looking for the new skill set, something to hit what we're researching now. So we try to be open about what we're working on so that we can hit people's interests. We're always expanding, so that's good.
Talk a little bit about what the difference is in working in Rhode Island. You work across the company and have some responsibilities that aren't just Rhode Island based. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about what's the advantages and disadvantages here in Rhode Island.
Well, we came here to be near the University of Rhode Island and other schools here, so I'd say that's an advantage. Our recent innovation voucher that we had through URI was amazing. We got to work with Professor David Taggart and his graduate student, and they really built up a database of information and foundational work for our inflatable technology that we have. So that's a huge advantage to have them nearby, be able to share those resources and our knowledge, really. Disadvantages, I mean, it's a tough question. It's just so great here. I mean, it's a small state, but we're on the coast. I mean, this is what we do. Right. So I don't know. You got me stumped.
On the inflatable technology, this isn't little raft technology.
No.
This is big technology.
It is.
Talk a little bit about it without giving any secrets away to Putin or any other international spies who might be watching right
now. This is true. So it's a drop stitch fabric. So it's a technology that allows us to have an inflatable that's a flat panel rather than just always having something that's round. So it's a fabric, nylon fibers that are dropped between the two sides of the fabric to keep it strong once inflated. So it only needs a low PSI, maybe 15, and you can withstand a large force. So it can be used. One of our first takes was actually a hull. Yeah, it's a little high-speed hull.
What do you see the future of the company? Is it diversifying beyond the Navy and U.S. Department of Defense? Is it doing more global work? Is it doing more private work? Where's the company going?
A little bit. We're a mixing pot. So I'd have to say the research we work on ebbs and flows with the needs of the Department of Defense. So we do want to keep up the defense work. We love we love the complex problems they're hit with, the things that you've never seen before, and we get to go to the whiteboard and really draw it out and put our math and science and engineering to the test.
That's right.
But on top of that, we do have the textiles, and that could go a commercial route as well. I mean, it's not limited in any way to the marine field. It's a strong, versatile application. So
that's great. And last but not least, let's talk about working with Commerce. You've worked with them on two things, vouchers and on wave makers. How was that process? And Brian's not here.
Okay.
So usually
All
Brian
right,
comes
so
over with the guest. And I think it's intimidating. Brian's here. You can't speak badly about him. I say speak badly about him. How was the process of working with Commerce?
I'm so sorry, but it's good.
Great big news today.
I know. The communication's so open with RI Commerce, so I never felt intimidated to send them questions if something was unclear, but it's very streamlined. The innovation voucher program was great. That was our newest one. We just closed that up. So it's just all these opportunities that we weren't aware of that RI Commerce came by and told us about, how they can affect our company and expand our interests at the moment. So we really, like I said, got to, I know.
Well, good for you.
You should
Bad
be proud.
For the news, right? Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all the success. The next time we do this Go Local Live segment, I think it's critical to the company, to our viewers, that we do it in Hawaii.
I do, yeah. So I'll have to go out with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
The whole team will all be out there, etc. Congratulations on all the success. We'll be back at the 4 o'clock hour. We've got Gary Sass, the money man, head of the Hassenfeld Institute of Bryant University. He'll be on at 4, and we've got Megan Decker from G Media Studios coming on right afterwards, talk about everything that's going on in marketing and social media, and especially what's going on in blockchain and cyber currencies. So we'll be back at 4 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center, and thanks Rhode Island Commerce for all their help. Thanks so much. See you at 4.